specifically when everybody says that the game, I hate the word the game. It's a reality show.
Yeah.
And this is one platform where people really want to see the real you. Parents and children, it's such a bond. It's the most purest form of love. And if I can't be a 10-year-old in front of my father and not vent of what I was going through, and every day people are pulling me down, and if I can't express that freely, what's wrong? He's my father.
True. You know, even when I did that interview with Mahir, we have had this conversation and they're like, listen, they should become friends, which is you and Priyanka. Why is it that there is no friendship then?
You know, she would end up sitting on the sidelines and passing a judgment on a situation, and cut to when she would be in somebody else's shoes who she was judging, and she would do the same thing and then she would have a justification. That sort of contradiction is something that bothered me the most. She's not a bad girl. She's a fab girl. And I'm a fab girl. And
But you can't be friends.
You know, Nandeep, when the 40 days episode situation happened, that's when I was diagnosed. That's when me and Mahir weren't even friends. You know, he didn't even see firsthand. After getting on the meds is the journey where he even witnessed that. So he didn't even get to see the extreme low point of it when it actually, I mean, we weren't close friends at that point. Right?
I want to know from you that what is your relationship status?
Can I be very honest, Nandeep? I've had many relationships and I've had many failed relationships, but yes, he is a dear friend. I mean, he's been my co-actor. We gel along very well, but that's it. That's it.
She happened to be the first contestant to enter the finale week, and unfortunately she's been evicted by the Janta votes. Joining me for a conversation today only on Bollywood Bubble is Nimrit Kaur Ahluwalia. Hello,
Hi.
How have you been? Are you feeling happy, upset?
Firstly, I feel alive. I think that's something that I've not felt in a long time. But I don't feel too much regret. On a very serious note, I think it would have been more of a shock had it been a pan-India voting and a normal course of elimination, and then something like that happening, you know, that would have been a true jolt. But when it comes to a niche audience or only a set of people coming in, and then an opinion happening, so it didn't hit me that hard because that's their opinion and it's okay.
You know, except Sajid Khan, I didn't know anybody personally who came into this show this season. And I remember we were all like on a junket in Ayodhya when the first premiere episode of Bigg Boss happened. And two people who I felt, वो premiere पे हो जाता है ना कि आपको लगता है कि ये दोनों शायद finale तक जाएंगे या जीतने के contenders बनेंगे. Two people who I thought could have won were you and Sumbul, because you guys came really strongly in the first day and the first week.
Right.
You especially in the first week.
Right.
So many times there have been talks that after first week something happened where your game became a little weak. Like maybe you stopped taking that strong stand for yourself. You started doing it for your friends. You started doing it for everybody and not so much for yourself alone. Do you agree?
You know, Nandeep, there is this, specifically when everybody says that the game, I hate the word the game. You know, everybody has a different approach towards this show. And for me, I always perceived it that this is one platform, it's a reality show.
Yeah.
And this is one platform where people really want to see the real you. I know it's also about content and entertainment, and you can go bounds with it and you can do whatever, you know, the canvas is all yours. Yeah. I just feel that as an individual, there are different shades of you. You know, so when I stepped into the first week, I was given this responsibility of being the captain. That also I had to earn twice. You know, first when I stepped in, Bigg Boss was like, if you end up convincing everyone, that's when you become the captain. And then it was also challenged by Shalin. And on both those, you know, at both those times, I did justice to myself, and I didn't want it to be snatched because I obviously valued it. And I feel like micromanaging is something that's kind of in my DNA. You know, my dad's a retired brigadier. My mom.
I met your dad, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Wow. There's so much that I don't know. I feel like I've been gone for years.
I spoke to him also just
Really?
before he entered. Yes.
Oh, how sweet is that? I really need to like know things. But yeah, so coming back to it, you've spoken to dad. My mom, she's a principal of a school, so I feel like that's something that's inbuilt in my DNA. But also, I feel as humans, there cannot only be one shade to you. Nimrit has various shade cards. There can be moments where I'm aggressive, there could be moments when I'm feeling really low, and I'm human and I'm allowed to feel that. And also in the first week, very honestly, I used to sleep alone and I was only micromanaging the house and everybody was busy mingling with each other and getting to know each other. So for me, my conversations in getting to know people actually started in the second week when finally the responsibility came off shoulders for me, because my entire focus was fixated on, the house needs to be running. And that is a shade of me and that is me, but that cannot be all of me.
But Nimrit, I have to tell you this, that throughout the conversation, there will be points where I'll agree with you, where I might disagree with you. That's also, again, I have seen you on the show and I felt in the first week itself that you deserved to win the show. That says a lot. But there have been so many times where, as a person who wanted you to win, there have been times where I felt like that you could have done things better. Firstly, before we move into that, you have battled depression and anxiety for a really long time. And you have been very vocal about it. I have battled anxiety issues related to my parents' health and stuff from a very young age. So I understand the kind of trauma and the trouble that can go through a person's mind when you are going through such phases. Initially, do you feel that a lot of them took time to come to terms with you being honest about it? Do you feel that there were a lot of people who were actually judging you? Because I spoke to your friend also, Mahir, and he said that he has also seen you through those days where 40 days you couldn't shoot and stuff.
In fact, Nandeep, when the 40 days episode situation happened, that's when I was diagnosed. That's when me and Mahir weren't even friends. He didn't even see firsthand what happened in those 40 days when immediately I was diagnosed or I was taken to Kokila Ben, and a lot of things happened, and then that's another story. But after getting on the meds is the journey where he even witnessed that. So he didn't even get to see the extreme low point of it when it actually, we weren't close friends at that point, we knew of each other's existence. But it's only at a later on stage when I started taking therapy or when I started taking medication is when he also came in and he saw that was tough.
And he did say that it was really tough.
Yeah, it was. And I feel like sometimes people don't credit, and honestly, we don't really need anybody's credit, but sometimes a little sympathy, a little empathy.
Empathy, more than sympathy, it is empathy.
It's empathy that one needs. And I do feel that, people were pretty judgmental about it. Like I remember certain people, they were having conversations about, why is she crying so much? I don't know. I have not been in this situation. It was a conscious decision on my end that one day I woke up and I was like, I cannot be on these pills anymore. I've had people in close proximity be on them for 5 years, and I don't want that to happen to me. And that was a conscious decision. And I'm not saying that you can have an opinion on it and you might find it bizarre because it's something difficult to understand until and unless, of course, someone really close to you goes through it or you go through it yourself.
Absolutely.
So no pressure on people. But when I did start having a conversation about it, and that's also when Bigg Boss actually told me that you should not keep everything inside yourself and just be vocal about it. And when I started doing that, there were still people like Shalin who...
that was shit.
That was so...
That was uncool.
It was not cool. Yeah, I completely agree. And you saw my reaction. And when, it's like, what button to press. And he exactly pressed that button. And cut to when he was going through a low phase, I did my karam. And I told myself that I'm not that person.
I agree.
So I think it just reflects on them.
I want to ask you then that, there's something that I want to ask you because I've also been through those phases and it does make you irritable and easily aggressive. But somewhere down the line, do you feel like there were times when I know that people were pushing those buttons in you, right? But whenever you would get angry, you would abuse. And that I think worked.
Abuse as in like verbally abuse,
Yeah, मतलब
like say
yeah,
कुत्ता.
मतलब no, जो बीप कर देते थे, अभी पता नहीं होता था क्या होता था, तो क्या होता था ना, as a viewer somehow you get a little bit of a setback. That there were points where people have also discussed, and I'm not lying, I have also at one point thought that why is it that, you know, she's getting this aggressive, because when you go through that, you know that this is not what you want other people to face, right? So do you somewhere feel that maybe the house is like that could have been controlled a little bit?
You know, Nandeep, irrespective of my mental health situation, I'm 28. I have every right to abuse if I have to, if people push
Absolutely.
me to it. And I have no qualms in accepting that, because I was not the only one who did that, firstly. Everyone, and when I say everyone, including Abdu, including everyone, has had those moments where they've resorted to certain words in frustration. Some people have had ways of provoking. Some people have had ways of going on your race, your religion,
Absolutely.
your family, your auqat, your niyat. So my upbringing has been such that I can't do all of that. So I might just I'll probably end up saying bitch. But that's the way I handle it. And I'm 28 and I have every right to cope with whatever way I can, you know, because I cannot punch my hand into the wall and hurt myself. Obviously, that would be a stupid thing to do. But we all, I mean, it's something so common.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong in, I mean, if you really want a reality show and you want it to be real, then you need to be accepting of the good, bad and ugly, all of it. And I don't shy away from it. And when I genuinely say every contestant has abused at some point or the other, because it hasn't been easy. I feel zero regret of my actions, genuinely. And when I did abuse, I also apologized. Some people even didn't do that. Some people went on my family. Some people said, "Bhooki aurat," and let's not even get into that. You know, but my upbringing hasn't been such that I'm going to go and target on your family, where you come from, your religion, your caste, your race, none of that. Your body shaming, age shaming, that's worse. Might as well just call me a bitch. I'd be much okay with that. You feeling frustrated, you say it. It's okay.
But at the same time, you know, like you raised it. There was a point of time I spoke to your father just before he entered, okay?
Yeah.
And I think every one of us, whoever interacted with your father, told him, because he's such a gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to say that uncle was such a gentleman.
Yeah.
He heard everything, whatever questions we had, and then at the end I just told him that, you know, when you go inside, one thing that I would like you to do is tell her to play solo. Yeah. Because there was a point of time, because you were not seeing that, a lot of people from the same group that you are friends with, they were trying to say that isko thoda alag rakho, isko hum apna part nahi maan sakte, isko ye nahi kar sakte, and that is what exactly your father wanted to tell you.
I know.
And then you reacted on your father, and I felt really bad for your father. I'm being honest. He was trying to tell you that only, that, you know, beta.
Okay, now, okay. You know, it's very funny sometimes that I'm living there 24 hours. Trust me when I say this, I knew exactly what was happening. Sometimes, for my own sanity, I chose not to react. And sometimes I chose to conduct myself in certain ways, because I know what my principles are and I know what my parents have taught me. And I also know, you know, that naam kamana bahut aasan hota hai, izzat kamana is the most difficult.
Absolutely.
Thing. Yeah. Now you tell me something that, so my dad, he is a hard taskmaster. Okay, he's been one of those.
He's an army man.
He's an army man, dude. Like, what do you expect? He's going to be like, good, shabash. You know, everybody's mums are coming in, and they're all mollycoddling ki mera bachcha sabse pyara and all of that jazz going on. And my dad, you know, was like, good, we're proud of you. He must have said that twice. And he has a tendency to, you know, obviously he's protective. He loves me the most, more than my own mother. And I know that. And everybody's pretty jealous of that. But getting back to the point, like, he has a tendency of reiterating himself, also maybe because he came from a place, you know, where he felt that I should not miss out on any pointer that I can help, you know, her in her journey forward. And I completely understand that. Everybody came out having a conversation that how can she behave like this on national television, blah, blah. I chose to be on national television and be as vulnerable and as real as it could get. Just because my father is sitting there does not mean that I need to camouflage my emotions. I know that these are conversations that all of us have had with our parents, because parents and children, it's such a bond. You can't have that love even with your spouse. It's the most purest form of love. And if I can't be a 10-year-old in front of my father and not vent of what I was going through, and every day people are pulling me down, and if I can't express that freely, I felt, what's wrong? He's my father.
True.
I have every right on him. He has every right of me. And if we have right on each other, why is the world judging me? He's my father. I can be a 10-year-old child in front of him and tell him that, Dad, I missed you. I'm going crazy here. And maybe I couldn't say that enough.
True.
You know, so all of a sudden everybody just went like, oh my God, it's national television. But I mean, I'm sorry, we've been brushing our teeth on national television. You know, we've been brushing our teeth, we are taking a dump, everything is on display already. And then you expect us to be real. This was the real me. Most of us have these conversations inside our homes. Thank you. But yeah, I'm not ashamed of the fact that I reacted like that. He's my dad. I can. If I can't have that conversation with him, I can't have that conversation with anyone. I can't go to the world and be like, you know, or Dad. I can't do that. But with him, I can, because he's the only one who would understand.
True. No, I'll take back my words now, because honestly speaking, I've also looked at it from one perspective, and I met Uncle and I felt that he wanted to just tell you that,
yeah, and he's right.
Just play your game. So मुझे तब लगा कि यार निम्रित, अगर हम भी जाते ना अंदर प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में, तो हम भी आपको यही बोल के आते. मैं तो बोलता कि निम्रित फर्स्ट वीक वाली निम्रित को लेके आओ जो सोलो खेल रही थी, बस that's all.
Yeah.
Finally, you know, we discuss, and I wanted to see this happening. And I think, you know, even when I did that interview with Mahir, we have had this conversation, and they're like, listen, they should become friends, which is you and Priyanka, because when two strong women are on one side, the nation can go to the other side and they'll still be together.
Yeah.
I feel that like you said, that there are so many times where you have been vulnerable on the show.
Yeah.
Every time you've been vulnerable, despite yes, you have had friends who have come and done more for you.
Yeah.
Okay, because they are friends.
Yeah.
But I have seen that Priyanka, despite not being your friend, if you go and look at those videos where people have judged you for your depression, where people have, triggered you, where you've broken down, she's always been there for you. When Archana was throwing the mirchi on you, she was the first person to come and give water also.
Do you think I haven't done that?
No, I'm saying, that's what I'm coming to say. I'm saying that, why is it that there is no friendship then?
Okay, I'll tell you what. We, in some aspects, are similar. That's also when the clash happens. And in some aspects, we are not so similar. You know, there were times when I tried really hard from my side. And I genuinely say this. I wouldn't otherwise admit it. I would try to be nice to her. You know, at the end of the day, we come from the same space. And there's a sort of a certain connect. But, you know, she would end up sitting on the sidelines and passing a judgment on a situation, and cut to when she would be in somebody else's shoes who she was judging, and she would do the same thing and then she would have a justification. That sort of contradiction is something that bothered me the most. You know, ki Ankit hai, so no, I can't do this. Just because you have a romantic equation or love. Love can also be friendship. Love can also be, it can be anything, right?
Any relationship.
It can be any definition. So how do you know that Sajid sir and Sumbul didn't have that bond? Sumbul used to have the maximum conversations with Sajid. You know, and I don't know in 2 hours how much are you guys seeing, but we saw it. And I know he was first so protective towards her, and he always said that, you know, this place is not for you. Please go home, bacha. You need to like really be around people who are your age. And then when she chose him and she thought that he was going to let her go, he felt responsible.
That was the week Sajid nominated her. That's why I think she said it. It was a
Exactly.
little hypocritical.
No, now you could see it as a hypocritical
No,
side.
I'm not saying. I'm saying her point of view.
Yeah. Right? So she felt that Sajid would let her go because Sajid sir himself said that Sumbul, this place is not meant for you, and it was from a very protective space. Now, cut to, all of a sudden, this girl gives him the responsibility, and he felt responsible for her, and he obviously felt responsible for her because there was a connect. Just because they are not lovebirds and there's a different kind of a bond in a friendship, you end up judging that. And when you're put in the same shoes, then it's okay. If Shalin does not press the buzzer and saves the money, then he's a great guy. And 2 days later, just because somebody gets dressed and then presses the buzzer, then also it's nice. So when I would see these contradictions happening on convenience, I could not relate. So she's not a bad girl. She's a fab girl, and I'm a fab girl. And
But you can't be friends.
No.
We'll make this happen.
You're gonna make this happen. Yeah, but maybe never say never. I truly believe in that, because the moment you say this can never happen, cut to it happens. So I would never say that, oh, we can never be friends or whatever. But I just feel that the way she, and also the way she had her approach towards the show, she would always say that, when I compare my journey, day one, you don't have any support system. You don't have any best friend or girlfriend there. She had that for 12 weeks. That was such a boost. Anybody would want to have that. So yeah, and then she would be like, you would never played. Bro, I stepped here akela. I know how akela I've been here, So there would be contradictions, but never say never. You never know. All three of us could chill.
Four.
Four?
Because
Why
I've
four?
made that pact with Mahir.
Mahir and his packs. I want to really know.
But finally, I have to tell you that one thing that has happened wonderfully after I interviewed Mahir is that somewhere I was also having a very myopic viewpoint. Let me be very honest, because I was just seeing what I was seeing. Yeah. And then I realized that there might be some things that you are going through and all that. And I understood because he came and he spoke at length. Right. I want to know from you that what is your relationship status? What is it?
Can I be very honest? He's a very dear and a close friend of mine. And that's it. And can I be very honest, Andeep? I've had many relationships and I've had many failed relationships, and I'm someone who would only talk about it when I'm finally like wedding bells, and that's years from now. I'm just 28. I'm excited about my career, but yes, he is a dear friend. He's been my co-actor. We gel along very well, but that's it. That's it.
But thank you, Nimrit. I hope to have another conversation with you very, very soon, where we can talk about life and you surviving it and not just battling it. Yes. Because that's what makes a lot of difference to all the other people who are possibly facing it right now. Yeah. And thank you for being a brave, strong girl. I did have my judgment. I will not shy away, because now I'm on camera and I'll be like, oh, mere tweets aise the. No, there are times when I also felt that you did wrong things, and I wrote about it. But I spoke about this to Mahir after the conversation, that I take back a lot of my judgment, and I'm telling you, the judgment that I had, especially after the conversation you have with your father, I take it back.
How sweet is
because
that?
I had to understand from a different point of view. I had to hear your point of view. I've heard it. More power to you, and I hope to see you soon now that you're coming in movies also. So we'll keep seeing you.
We'll keep seeing each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Nimrit Kaur Ahluwalia, and you're watching me on Bollywood Bubble.